Hey guys, Ellie here. So today we're starting the garden tour in the exact same area we normally do, except it has gone through a few changes. And this is just a very real look at how the garden looks currently as we transition from our summer into our autumn and winter. Let's have a look. Alright, so the very first area has gone through a fairly large change, but at the same time not much change at all. So we used to have a wooden dog kennel that used to stand over here, and we have recently rehomed it. And believe it or not, this is our potato tub, and Mildred did me the greatest honor and actually dug out all the potato leaves. So we definitely will be harvesting this shortly, and there are signs that we may actually have a few potatoes. Well, we will see. This container at the moment is just standing empty. It's waiting to be transitioned. This is the bulbinella that stood in front of the kennel, which surprisingly is huge. I didn't realize how much of the foliage of this plant was hidden. Then over here we've got our regulars, the strawberry wheelbarrow. The garlic chives have come back with a vengeance, and I'm not angry about it. This is my yellow zucchini squash. It is huge. Just look at the size of these leaves. So yes, it's doing really well, and so is our yesterday, today and tomorrow, since it had been repotted up. I just want to come in here and remove these two leaves here. They are the original leaves, and they're just going to zap energy. They're not going to get any bigger. They're in the shade anyway. Here on the rose wall, I've just moved this other plant. I actually don't even know what it's called. It's pretty, and we bought it for the bees, and it really does work. It normally stood next to the bulbinella. It probably will go and join its friend there. That one and that one live together. So when this one moves, it'll be pretty much the same as what it was. Just a few things have changed here as we're going through the seasons. As you can see, roses are losing their petals. And we do have some new roses coming up that have opened. This is a Lemonescence rose that we got at Ludwig's Roses on an adventure to look at a property. Up here on the wall, sadly our catnip has died, and our oregano looks like it gave in again, but once again it is making a comeback, so I may come and just cut this dead foliage off, and we'll see what happens. Up here, drowning in little like clovers or oxalis, is my parsley, so it needs to be tended to. We still have a few pansies that are bringing a little bit of color into this garden. They're not beautiful. I think they are. Right over here in the rose garden, we have a few things happening. The impatiens have taken off. They absolutely love this space. They definitely like the shade that they are given by the roses. They are popping out everywhere, and anytime one of them does manage to escape the fence, our hedge trimmers will come along and just eat that off. So our roses are looking a little bit messy at the moment. I need to come around and deadhead my plants. So that's essentially just cutting off the spent flower. That way the plant is not trying to produce seed or thinks that it's gone to seed. So we're going to cut those off, give it a better chance putting its energy into the newer growth. And if you deadhead or pick your roses, you don't have this mess happening when the wind blows. This is still our moneymaker plant. It is one plant that we planted, and we trained the 3 different vines. We did a prune the other day and we restrung them. So we do have a few tomatoes, which I'm not going to complain about because it's April, it's the 4th of April, and we're still getting tomatoes. So we're going to push it and see how productive this plant really is. Unfortunately, my blueberry plant not looking so great at the moment. But we have given it a bit of a feed, so hopefully it'll start perking up soon. I know there are lots of birds in the area who are eyeing out this blueberry bush with the same expectations I am. Over here in the orchard, things are still looking pretty good at the moment. Our lychee tree is growing. It doesn't have a lot of foliage, but it does have some healthy foliage. We are struggling. I don't know very much about lychees, and honestly I haven't done the research yet into it. Then the fig is still doing fine. The lemon tree has got some nice new healthy growth on it, and it seems to be having less scilla issues, so we're holding thumbs that maybe this will be the year. Behind that we've got our avo tree, which is doing its best. It's actually quite enjoying where it's standing. It's got nice new growth, which does surprise me since the chickens love to dig out the soil in this pot. At the back there is the apricot, and it's okay. I'm actually expecting it to lose its leaves soon, so I think the orchard is going to become very stark over the next couple of months, which will be a little bit sad, but it's expected. Yeah, so far the elephant garlic has produced one sprout so far. Now I don't know if I'm being impatient, but I was expecting a little bit more, because all 15 of the Egyptian pink garlic came up. On this particular basil, it is a good example of how you should be pinching off the flower part so that you can encourage new growth. You would find 2 points of growth like this where they have leaves coming off. You come down to the center of those and you would pinch your flower off. That then will allow the plant to focus on growing these 2 points into new branches, making your basil bush out and producing a bit more for you. Since removing this tomato plant, we have noticed our beans are doing a little bit better. I think they're not as shaded, or they're enjoying the room to breathe, but they are doing very well. Which brings us to our white elephant toes variety of garlic. Here we planted 5 and all 5 sprouted. So we've got one over here, here, and down there. All 5 sprouted, which is pretty cool. So from the beans, let's look at this bed here. I have removed the tomato plants that were here, as well as the eggplant and the pepper that were being shaded out by Jack's giant bean, which is still climbing its way along merrily. But it is definitely reaching an end point, and soon it will have to come out, which will give me this little space here to plant in. I'm not sure what I want to plant in there just yet, but we'll figure that out closer to the time. So I just wanted to give this eggplant a special shout out. This is my long purple variety. It is the first time I have grown this variety successfully, and it is a beast. There are so many eggplants over here, over here. It's mad, but I'm not complaining. I've already had 2 very good harvests off of this plant, and it does look like I'll have another one at least. It is throwing flowers. But with the temperature dropping, I don't know whether or not we're going to get very many more harvests or fruits off of here. But still impressed. Right, let's come along the path. Down here's where I planted our kohlrabi seeds and our kale. So the kale is doing alright. We haven't had any major sprouting on the kohlrabi front, but we're going to give it a little bit of time. I think we may have one over here. Sadly, this area here where I planted the kohlrabis, one of the cats decided to toilet, and the carrots may have also been affected by that travesty, or one of a very similar nature. Over here is the onions, and the container we planted out together in one of the previous videos. We planted out some sweet peas and some basil. So far it looks like just the basil has come up and not the sweet peas. Oh well, I'll go out and buy some seedlings and start them that way. That being said, we also have some jalapenos over here. The bushes are starting to yellow, they're not loving the cold, and that's okay. We were expecting that, but we are trying to let whatever fruit is on the plant ripen on the plant, because we want them as red jalapenos, not as green ones. But if they are green ones, I'll be happy, because then they become mine and not Duncan's. These kohlrabis are looking very good. We harvested all the outer leaves before Easter on our spinach, just so that it wouldn't go to waste, and it's all looking very good and healthy. This bean plant will be coming out soon as well. It has 1 or 2 beans on it, but it's definitely reached the end of its season, and then I'll be using this space along here to plant some peas. Here on the opposite side of the line garden, in the space where the tomatoes were, we planted out some broccoli, and they have all settled. Then we planted some seeds. We've had some beetroot come up, and my heavily planted turnips, clearly a good crop for me. And sadly, not very much success with the carrots. But this keeps happening. So I think that may be a problem. Okay, so I'm standing on the middle block, and I thought I'd just give you a quick 360 of what's happening in the garden, where we stand currently, what is growing, what is not. We're having a few successes and some less desirable results.
Hey guys, so let's go and see what the container garden has to offer us.
This area is currently looking quite lush and beautiful, especially after the rain. Mustard greens, lettuce, parsley, an echinacea, Hunt's tomato, even though that probably will go soon, a bay tree, an unidentified lily of some kind, I think. In this area over here, we've got this beautiful catnip that's come up. It was one of the 2 that we planted. One died. This one survived, luckily. And we've got an echinacea and a Tabasco. This Tabasco pepper I'm going to attempt at overwintering. Our spring onions, which we just come along and chop the tops off as and when we need it. In this container, I've got 2 paprika peppers. They'll be coming out soon. The attempt at growing onions in a container was not very successful. I have 2 onions, of which I'm only expecting 1 to make it. And that's due to neglect, chickens, and kittens. The lettuce, as you can see, was feasted upon, but is bouncing back. This is now just chicken fodder. I've got a container that's growing a volunteer flower. I do think it's a freesia, but we'll have to wait and see. We'll be surprised together. Over here I've got some parsley and thyme. We planted this out together. Then the chickens got into my herb container. I'm starting to wonder if this is what it's destined to be, or if I'm just holding out for something that's a dream. Anyway, I replanted the parsley and the onions, and they're alive. So that's a win. This impatient is doing extremely well. It looks a little bit like faded at the moment, but that's because the umbrella is down and it's been exposed to more sunlight. Oregano still doing its best. Thyme, some sage, feverfew, and a blank space. In this container we planted out some seedlings and some seeds together. We planted that parsley and I sprinkled in some chamomile seeds, and as you can see some of them have actually sprouted, so we'll see if they make it through the winter. I doubt it though. And over here we have our squash plant that we planted. It's growing, but I think the frost will have it. Unfortunately, in this container none of the sweet pea seeds have come up, so I guess we will try that again. Okay guys, so from me and my garden on our little homestead in the suburbs, we're wishing you a fantastic weekend. Go out and get your hands dirty in the garden, and we'll see you next week. Bye guys.